This week, the deal, let's talk about a new project that we have, the Manning 4 small lot subdivision. So we have 4 homes to sell, and we have a huge response. Multiple offers coming in. We put 2 into escrow right away and multiple offers on the other units. And we're like, great, we're going to sell this out first week, except our client, my good buddy, the builder, says, you know what? This is moving too fast. I don't want to leave money on the table. So let's shelve it and not respond to any offers on unit 3 and 4, or home 3 and 4, for a week. So here we are heading into Memorial Day, and we're on hold. We have buyers that want to buy these units, and we can't do anything about it. And we're going to let you know how it plays out in the next week or two once we get back from Memorial Day. So that's the deal. Anything else I need to add to that? We'll let you know if the deal turns into anything interesting. Hey, what's up, guys? This is The Deal with Danny Brown. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate you subscribing and commenting wherever you listen to your podcast, whether it's Google Play, iTunes, YouTube. Where else do people listen? Stitcher, a bunch of other places. So I really appreciate it. We're getting a lot of followers and a lot of comments. So thank you all who've taken the time. Please pass the word on so we can amplify this and get the message out. Today's guest, welcome Jay Luchs. He's the king of high street real estate in Beverly Hills. He's done 50 plus deals on Rodeo Drive alone, and lots of deals in Beverly Hills, Melrose Place, Malibu, Sunset Plaza, and anywhere in between. You see his sign all over the place. Jay loves to eat Craig's and Tana's, 2 of my favorite spots. I see him there all the time. He's actually an ice cream aficionado. He's got like 30 pints of ice cream in his freezer. He's also a car chase fanatic, so go imagine that. Anyways, he's one of LA's most eligible bachelors. He's really hustled and worked his way to the top. There's no shortcuts. So I'm looking forward to getting into it with Jay Luchs. Listen and learn. Talk to you soon. We go way back, Jay. But before we get into that, let me say, I see you all over the place. I see you at the beach, at the Jonathan Club. I see you at Craig's. I see you at Tana's, walking the streets. I see you everywhere. I'm really happy that I'm sitting you down for some quality time. We don't get a lot of quality time. So, ladies and gentlemen, Jay Luchs, welcome to The Deal. Good to see you. How are you?
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
So, first important question, where do you go to dinner tonight? Craig's or Tana's?
That is a good question. I don't know. Last night was Craig's.
Is it every other night? 3 nights, 4 nights?
Depends.
Do you go anywhere else?
I like Craig's and Tana's. I like Tower Bar. I went to some ramen place the other night, which was good.
Ooh, that's
I go to
exotic.
Every weekend I go to Lily's, which is
I know you love Lily's burritos.
Yeah, it's just a burrito.
Malibu.
And it takes an hour from my house to get there, an hour back. So it feels longer than it is.
What's so good about it? Is it more of
the
like
sauce?
It's all about the sauce.
And it's old school. It's been there forever.
They have the special sauce.
I've had 2 or 3 friends go, and they'll go all the time, even without me. I mean,
wow.
Others become addicted, so be careful if you go.
Yeah,
Lily's at Point Doom.
So you've pretty much kept them in business. I hope they're paying you for that.
By the way, I'd love to take credit for that. These guys are pros. If you don't call 45,
you gotta go to Lily's.
You don't call 45 minutes ahead. You just have to wait 45 minutes. You have to call. There's no special favors. You're not getting anyone's cell phone number.
Yeah. So it's Lily's over Craig's and Tana's sometimes.
Not over, but during the day on a Saturday.
It's unbelievable what Craig's done. I mean, that is huge success. You know how hard that is to sustain a successful business. Every time I'm there, it's 5, 6 deep at the bar. Restaurant's packed, hard to get in. Unless you know Jay Luchs, and you get right in. I dropped your name. I said, Jason, I'm coming. Yeah. But so I'm really proud of him.
I have to wait there too.
What he's done is amazing. And obviously Tana's legendary watering hole. And that's my family spot every Sunday.
Yeah.
But I'm tanking up. I'm getting a little heavy. So I try to limit to 1 or 2 times. So we have Jay Luchs here, I'd say the king of Beverly Hills retail, high street, and also one of LA's most eligible bachelors. So Sarah, calm down. Sarah's my Robin, like Howard Stern's got Robin, but she's much hotter and much younger. But she'll stay calm. Where do we start? So we'll start. let's just start. I've known you. I think we both started in real estate about the same time. Early 2000s. When did you start in real estate?
Yeah, I had a 1-year job in 1997, and I was 3. Just kidding.
Right.
And then
so you were 7.
In 2001, I had a 2-week stint at Endeavor, which is now WME Entertainment.
Yes.
And
shout out to my boy Brad Slater, who I'm seeing for
Known
Shabbat
Brad
dinner.
since-
He's coming over, him and Kara, for dinner tonight.
Known him since day one. Please tell him hello.
I'll send him.
Haven't
I'll
talked
send
to
him
him in a
your
long
best.
time. But
Send him some of that vegan Craig's ice cream.
so 2001, I did that for 2 weeks, August of that summer, and then I decided to get into real estate, so I left there pretty quickly.
So
all was
early
fine,
2000s.
nice people. I just said, first paycheck. I remember seeing it and looking at it, going, I know you have to love this. I know it takes
$5
years,
an hour,
but I really did think like this is kind of crazy. So I decided to get into real estate and hope for the best. And in
So that was
2001, so 2003 was my first kind of breakout year, but 2001 to 2003 were the beginning.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
I started interning in real estate and got an assistant job for a few weeks for a guy named Robert Ratcliffe. In 2001 and got my license in 2002.
Great.
And that was it. Hit the ground running. Because a similar experience. It was in entertainment and the paychecks were small and the workload was crazy.
Yeah.
Well, we can jump into that. But before we get into the real estate, I want to hear about what was Jay Luchs like before you were Jay Luchs. You grew up on the East Coast, Maryland,
Yes,
or New York?
Potomac, Maryland, which
So
is
tell me
outside of
about
Washington,
that, where
D.C.
you grew up, what it was like growing up.
I'd love to say what you see is what you get. I mean, I would say that I've kind of always been social. I've had a good group of friends in high school and college. I think before high school, it wasn't the same confidence level, I guess you'd say. You know, high school became more fun and a great group of friends.
Cool.
And then college, went to University of Virginia. I did go to a prep school in Connecticut for 2 years in high school. I repeated my junior year, which was insane at the time.
So you did 2 years outside. A lot of East Coasters
I did
do that.
junior
I
year
can't
twice.
imagine that.
But what happened at boarding school was...
So you had great grades.
I had good grades. They were B's, you know.
But why'd you repeat it if you had B's?
Because it was really more about trying to get into the right college and taking a step back. Because a lot of people at private schools in Maryland had repeated in 3rd grade.
So
the colleges that
it was a red shirt year.
The colleges I was being shown were not the ones that I always thought I was going to get in. That was part of it. So I went, repeated, and then was a captain of a lacrosse team, and
Oh, nice! I didn't even know that you played lacrosse.
I played lacrosse. That was the JV team. I wish I could say I was captain of varsity.
But you were playing.
But I was captain of JV. Played soccer. Did all the sports. Got into University of Virginia, and I don't think I would have had a shot had I not
doing that.
Because when you repeat in high school, as grueling as it is, it was a co-ed school. It was in Connecticut. Great people. Totally different experience than anything I've ever done. And I think that long term in life, that was a good thing.
And was that a tough thing because your friends were going off to college and you had to go repeat, or
it was tough until I got there, and then I actually kind of liked it. I actually enjoyed it.
So Virginia is where you went to school. Were you already into business or studying business, or what was?
My actual major was rhetoric and communication studies. I think they dropped the name rhetoric now because
rhetoric.
Does
that
many
like
years
mean
later.
BS? Like
It probably does. I mean, it means that it's not just like communications. I took a class where our assignment was to look at the words of the song Closer to Fine and study it, like just random stuff.
Interesting.
I took some advertising classes.
So well-rounded.
It was great. And then I took some business classes too, but I did not major in business.
So Jay Luchs, you're in college, you're getting into college, you're probably starting to think about what I want to do. I would think Virginia or East Coast, a lot of people probably want to go to Wall Street or get into banking. What were you thinking at that time, and how did you get from Virginia to LA?
My last year of college, we would all sit around and invite people over, guys, girls, whole fun event at my 6-person house that we lived in. Which, by the way, the house for 6 people, it was $200 a month each. So that was Virginia then. Like, it was a big house with a pool table at the top.
$200,
$200
and
a
no
month.
drinking allowed in the premises.
Yeah, right. And we were watching Melrose Place. Everyone would watch it like a big deal.
I figured that's where it
we
started.
didn't have internet then, right? We didn't. I'll tell you another story about learning how to use an email in that class, and that was an assignment. So it was a different time.
I remember it was the AOL 14
that had not even that came out like right when I graduated. Yeah. So we wow. Yeah. So,
wow.
So almost made me lose my train of thought. What are we even talking about? So
email class?
Yeah. So there was a class, a computer class called a GUT, which at the end of my 4th year of college I took, and the last assignment was this is something you need to send to your neighbor, and you had to figure out on a computer how to get this thing to the neighbor. And it was an email.
Through your computer.
It was like lining it up and doing something, and that was it. So
that was way out there.
I know what it was. So we were sitting in our apartment and playing pool and hanging out. And Melrose Place was on, and at the end it had central casting. And I'm calling there, and
sign me up.
My buddy hit Doug Buckalter, who you may know.
Yes, of course.
Doug,
Michael's brother. I know Dougie. Yeah, of course.
He came up to me one day before a football game. We were all in our balcony, like everyone's hanging out.
He went to Virginia?
He did.
Oh, I had no idea. I had no idea.
He did. He was 2 years.
Shout out to Buckholter boys.
He was 2 years younger than me, but he was a bro, and he came up and said, "You would love LA." That's all he said.
Yeah, he was.
Okay. So I called Melrose Place. I called Central Casting and got through to somebody.
Like, I'm Jay Luchs.
And University of Virginia. I just said, "How do I get on?"
Taken a theater class? Anything?
Something came up where the guy basically said, "You can be on Melrose Place as an extra." So I went to Doug and said, "I'm going to go to LA and have some fun.
Go be an extra."
And in Virginia, just to walk on a set is
huge.
like a bigger deal than if you're a day player or regular. I'm telling you, like, I have tons of friends now that are on shows, or I've even been on stuff, and it was a bigger deal then to be like a damn extra on Melrose Place. So I flew out to LA, and
by the way, that's perfect. They should have casted you. You could have been great on Melrose Place.
I wasn't good at memorizing lines.
You could have killed it on 90210.
I auditioned for that, and I couldn't remember anything.
Bad move. That could have been you.
So that was
that was a problem. Rhetoric didn't prepare you for
true story. Just
for learning your lines.
Or I felt it was stupid. Something in me was like, "This is so dumb." That
I can't do this.
I could be real. Like, I've been on shows like the Kardashians had me on as their agent.
Yeah.
And $1 Million listing. A couple
I'm like,
guys.
What the hell is Jay doing?
And even now, if I'm talking about my own life, I just talk. Yeah. If I have to memorize lines, to me, it's just different. Okay, I don't feel like myself, and then I'm not good. So I'm not a good actor.
Give him something to memorize. Let's give him some.
I do have my SAG card.
You have your SAG card? I do. From being on Melrose Place?
Well, not from that, but from
all right. So you
that.
Get to LA with the dream of I'm going to be on Melrose Place, have some fun.
Well, it was a 1 week experience where
it turned into,
I showed up, and the guy goes, "You're on JJ was his name. You're on Babylon 5 tomorrow." And I go, "What?" He goes, and then he goes, "What?" I said, "I flew out to be on Melrose Place." He goes, "What are you talking about?" I go, "I talked to you last week. You said I'm this date, Melrose Place." The guy hangs up on me. Done. So I had to figure out how to get on Melrose Place. There was no way I was going to go back to Virginia and have done Babylon 5.
God.
Okay. So
is that like Viking
without
Quest
saying too much, I found my way somehow on the Melrose Place casting. I mean, through the office and whatnot.
Look at that tenacity and there I was, and persistence right there.
And I still have a frame check for $31, and it wasn't the money, but it was like the whole experience was amazing. I left a resume at Brillstein Gray that week. Thought it was an ad agency. They manage actors. They manage. they produce movies. They do all of that. As
Rest
we know.
in peace, Brad Gray.
Right, Brad Gray and Bernie Brillstein, because they were both there. Yeah. My first day at work, I was in an elevator with just both of them, so the three of us.
Yeah.
And to me, I was like in awe.
Of course, they're gods.
But that's what I did. I left a resume at Brillstein Gray. Someone called.
Got a job.
I had a job at NBC as a page lined up to go into New York in September, and I decided to come here for a summer, and then I never left. So that was kind of that.
So the acting thing was never a serious, hey, you never were going on auditions and doing all that.
You were for a year and a half of my life.
Oh, you did do it.
Howard Fine was my coach.
So you really gave it a shot.
Class. Yeah, I was in his master class, or the second one to the top, so whatever. I ended up getting into a great class.
I didn't know that you were really
and spent
in the
a year
grind.
and a half auditioning and doing it all. I was then in a car accident where I broke my leg badly.
Oof.
1996, so I guess I sound so old right now.
Yeah,
but
we came up in the 90s.
I was still a kid then. I still feel like the same guy now, but my age has gone higher.
Yeah,
I still feel the same. But I went back to Maryland, spent a year recovering because it was a bad break, came back to LA, out of my system, then worked in TV at UPN.
So you were still in entertainment originally.
Worked at AOL for a year in ad sales. Went to Endeavor. So 5 years trying to figure it out. And then in 2001, got into real estate. And my focus, my energy, my enthusiasm, everything changed. I realized there's something out there to strive for.
And what was your first job or first taste of real estate? What was it?
I worked
what did
as
you
an
do?
assistant or associate to two guys at this company called Insignia ESG, and I made a lot of calls for them. But skipping back a few years, my first real estate job was working for a guy named Dan Berkue at Epstein and Associates.
Okay.
And Dan just sent me into the field, and that was when Starbucks and the Gap were growing. So I was in a car with the heads of real estate at these companies, just listening and falling asleep in the back seat.
Yeah.
But on tours around everywhere while
just
they were
absorbing
expanding.
what was going on.
That was retail. The first
taste of retail.
My father, who has a company, who had one back in DC, always said to do office leasing tenant rep, like your
Mr.
father-in-law.
Jim Travers.
And
is that what your dad did?
He had a real estate company called Shannon and Luchs Company in Washington, which started in 1906 and sold in 1991.
And they did commercial.
They did residential, commercial, property management, and insurance.
So you grew up in
I grew up in it. Yeah, I mean, I was third generation of it. Morton Luchs started in 1906.
Wow,
Frank
Morton.
Luchs took it over. Ken Luchs was my dad who sold it. And
so there's been a long line of Luchs in real estate.
Really cool history.
Runs in your blood.
Whole nother side conversation. But
the
history of real estate, not just Washington. Like there is a cool story that I have from 1927.
Let's hear it. Let's hear the story.
Shannon and Luchs built the first L-shaped shopping strip in Washington. They copied one center in California where it had been done. But the article says that L-shaped shopping strip later became the mall.
Wow.
So there's history there
that
of
was the beginning of the impetus
the
of
mall. And it was called the Park and Shop. It still exists, Cleveland Park, Washington, D.C. area.
Holy crap.
It's there.
That's unreal. It's a lot of history there.
Not even that I'm in real estate, but that alone lives in me. And the fact that has nothing to do with what I do today, because I don't own little shopping strips, although someday we'll see.
Yeah.
But that's something that kind of it's
cool.
Family history.
That's very cool. So you started your early 2000s, getting your teeth kicked in like typical, starting in real estate, making no money, grinding, and just trying to build a book of business. What do you think was your first aha, I can do this?
Sure.
I got my first break, not necessarily your big break.
Well, something did happen very specifically. So after the 2 years of calling and, great calls, 1 or 2 deals came from them of trying to put the guys I worked for in a room with people that would either be buying or selling properties. That was what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
and I was going through their list and calling their list of their clients to put meetings together. It was like that. Sat there at a desk, call. And then in 2003, I drove by what's currently or was Brooks Brothers for 15 years until 2 months ago. I saw paper in the window every day, and I wanted to know what was going on with it. And I called Tommy Hilfiger's group. Someone at my company back east was friendly with a lawyer there. One thing led to the other, and I got the listing to sublease Tommy Hilfiger space.
Okay.
A 20,000-foot corner on Rodeo Drive.
Yeah.
So it gave me a chance to then go out and make calls to people for Rodeo Drive.
That was your first
That was my first
to that.
big thing.
Yeah.
That changed. It was really
that's
my
big
first
time. A young guy at your Rodeo Drive, a corner. I mean, that is huge.
It was I remember the feeling
as a young broker,
of,
you're probably like, holy shit, I got to make this happen.
It was really cool to call and say I have a listing on Rodeo Drive.
You have something to talk about.
So Brooks Brothers called. They called after seeing the space. One thing led to the other, and we signed a lease with Brooks Brothers. And that was a sublease. That was a huge space, but it wasn't like the biggest deal of my career because it was a sublease for a couple of years left, and I was Tommy's agent and all that.
Yeah.
But it was my entry and beginning of something that I fell in love with.
Yeah. And then where did it go from there? I know from pretty quickly after that, it seems like by the mid 2000s, I started seeing your name popping up. It's like Jay is starting to get some traction. Mm-hmm. So tell me how you started becoming sort of the known guy. I know you weren't like Jay Luchs legend yet, but you were starting to get on the map.
Thank you.
And you started popping your name up. You were a young guy. There wasn't many young guys doing it like that.
I feel like you're only as good as your last deal. I truly believe that. So I was just busting my butt to bring the best brands to the area. And I think what happened was I was doing it. I was reading up on them. I was finding them, bringing them, signing deals. And all of a sudden, people that had been here a long time started seeing that this guy has now been bringing these brands to our city.
Got it.
And I think that sparked other landlords to hire me. And next thing you knew, I was bringing them tenants, and it started exploding. It started
growing. And what were you in terms of bringing clients? It's just because you were in the know and started researching, doing your homework, thinking, "Hey, this would be a good business." You were putting business together with, "Hey, we should bring them to LA," or what were some of those brands
that early on? Make phone calls. I mean, there was a day where I remember bringing a tenant that came from Italy, and there was a book that I found that had 200 names of tenants from Italy, and I called every one of them, and one of them did a deal. That deal was on Rodeo, and it lasted for 15 years, and now they moved. I mean, we actually put them somewhere else. So that wasn't.
So you were really.
Well, I mean, I was
hustling.
just going after it from every angle, but I also would go to New York and look at who was coming in and calling upon them. And if I had a listing, I would just call as many as I could. Today we send emails out and call. Yeah. There's not enough hours in the day to do every call. Like if you could call every single tenant that there is in existence, you'd be probably finding a tenant everywhere. So the problem is, how do you manage your time? Yeah. And it's not an easy thing to do, and I'm not perfect at it, but I certainly have access to a lot of the brands, if not most, when I have a listing now. And even at that time when I was building my career, I was going after them even more aggressively because I didn't know them.
Because you didn't know them, you had to make a name for yourself. Right. That's unreal. That just shows you like taking it to the highest level in the real estate business. You start from ground level. I mean, there's just no shortcut.
That is what it was. By the way, that is what it was. And and
it's always been.
I guess I've been asked for, what's your advice? And now that this is coming up and making me think, there are people that like to try to jump to the top at the beginning. And they can. We all know them. There's some people whose parents are in the business, or they get lucky. And some people that have started these massive companies did something different. But if you're a regular person and you go and you work for someone as an assistant and you learn a business,
learn the trade,
and you meet their clients and you either grow with them or without them. But the grueling few years of work does make most of us who we are.
That's no doubt about it. And that's what Jim Travers says every day of the week. He's like, the only good is your next deal. And he's door knocking now. He's probably out right now door.
And he's famous for it.
And it is what it is. But so tell me about, wasn't there a time where you partnered with a big family, a real estate family?
Yeah, Human Mabubi.
Yeah, yes. Human's family. And then it just seemed to take it to a whole nother level because they had a lot of market share. What year was that when you started getting involved with them and partnering on those?
I had been building what I was building, but Human was getting out of entertainment, and his family owned a good portion of buildings on Beverly Drive and on Rodeo. But
they owned it from when? 70s, 50s? Like when did they start buying up stuff?
Late 60s and early 70s.
So they were here early.
They owned the Rodeo collection and a few other deals on Rodeo, a few other buildings. And on Beverly Drive, they've got 8 or 9 buildings or so. Yeah. But
just a few buildings.
He called me and said, if you would partner with me in Beverly Hills, we'll be partners for life, kind of a thing. And it was I didn't know what to say. And I ended up saying, let's go for it. So for many, many years, we were partners in the listings of just Beverly Hills, not West Hollywood, not Malibu, but we built something there very special. Yeah. He ended up leaving to go to a different company that didn't like co-branding. So that was it for us a couple years ago. And we love each other. All is good.
So you guys stopped working together a couple years ago or many years ago?
A couple years ago.
Got it. But you guys had a great run. I mean, that's really when I started seeing you everywhere. And I mean, your name became like.
Well, people realized they saw both names together, and I think that people get interested, like, what's happening?
What's that? Well, you definitely built a brand for yourself. So, what are some interesting deals that you say, hey, if there's something you want to talk about, a fun story or a fun brand, or what something that it could be a big deal, it could be an interesting deal. I know there's so many of them. I know you've got a huge client list.
Like Malibu Lumberyard was one that I loved.
Oh, I love that place.
Yeah, that was. So back to the shopping strip story, maybe it lives within me.
That's the Koss family?
No, it's next to theirs. They own the Malibu Country Mart.
Yes.
And Malibu Lumberyard was something that the city of Malibu owns the property. There was a bidding for developers to build it and make money for the city and for themselves. 2 people were hired. A lady named Karen Klein that I worked with at Epstein and Associates back in the day called me up and said, I'm getting this listing. I want to bring you in. I think you'd be a good partner for me. And even though we're at different companies, she felt good about me being a part of it. Yeah. So in 2006, I joined her. She basically stepped away and she let me do everything. So it was like my baby. Weekly meetings for 2 to 3 years every Thursday and whatever we did. But that was an amazing experience because I had 20,000 feet of retail on the ground floor in a time where everybody wanted to be there. I mean, it was like Malibu. It was like,
hot.
Very hot. We had multiple offers. We couldn't take everybody, but it was exciting because it was putting a puzzle together. James Purse was my first tenant. Was beautiful. I'm his agent today, so we have a relationship for many years. Maxfield came in.
The restaurant Havana.
Cafe Havana came in.
That's a fun spot.
Other offers for restaurants. You could only put one on the ground.
There's only one restaurant.
So we had other offers, but
So
that
it was a
an
huge
incredible
demand.
experience. It did lead many years later to, actually only a couple of years later when I think back, but a group of us bought Malibu Village. It was called Cross Creek Plaza, and I actually, they let me choose the name. I grew up at the Potomac Village in Maryland.
Okay.
I thought Malibu Village sounded cool. They agreed. We called it Malibu Village, and at that property, I was an owner now, and we hired Marmel Radziner to be the architect, which was
incredible.
A group
Those
that
guys
I
are
also
so talented.
I had introduced them to, and very proud to have brought in, and then did the leasing. So we had Nike, and we had, well, later on we got Sephora, Lululemon, Chipotle, all these brands. But that was an incredible experience for me. Even though it's in Malibu, it's not right here in the hood.
Yeah, it's far.
It was,
but you got to go to Lily's.
and nothing better. Well, I ended up falling in love with the drive to Malibu. I had meetings every Thursday for a couple of years.
But I used to love Coogie's. I would always go to Coogie's.
Yeah,
Now they're done, but I loved going out to Coogie's.
Definitely.
Surfing, going to Coogie's, hanging out in Malibu.
I also have to shout out to, and they don't need it, but Ready Chick in Brentwood.
Oh,
so that's a
every
regular
time
for
I
me.
see it
also.
on your gram, I'm just like, Jay, don't do it. Don't do
love
the
it.
Ready Chick, the chicken in the basket.
Chicken basket with fries.
That is old school Brentwood Country
two
Mart
fried
right
clams. Coca-Cola, you got to have a full Coke.
Fried
can't drink
clams,
water.
really?
Yeah,
I didn't even know they had clams.
they do.
But that barbecue sauce, the chicken, the fries with the little seasoning.
Well, the whole deal.
Oh,
so that's
God.
like a.
We used to go there all the
between
time
Lily's
in
and
high school.
Brentwood Country Mart. Those are my
That's
two
your two
kind of places.
spots.
Yeah.
You're also big in the ice cream. I know, like every time I look at your Instagram, you have it's like did you take IPO, Haagen-Dazs IPO? Your refrigerator's got like rows and rows and rows.
Craig's.
Of course, it's not. It's boutique.
It's stuff like that.
You are a connoisseur of ice cream. What is your what's your flavor?
I also collect art. I almost feel like it's a collection of art.
Oh, it's art? It's just like art?
It's art, and I do eat the art. I eat it.
That's good.
But it's kind of looks cool to me. It's like a
what is
great
your flavors?
fridge.
What is your? Do you have a go-to?
A salty caramel.
Okay, is that all that stuff?
That one's what is it called?
When I see 30
Filante?
cartons,
what's it called? Filante or Villante or whatever it is. It's a gelato.
So you just got rows and rows of salted caramel.
Yeah.
So let me get this. I wake up the morning, it's 6 a.m. and it's Jay Luchs going to Equinox for the workout. And at night, it's Jay Luchs at 9 o'clock opening the refrigerator with ice cream. That is a serious contradiction.
Where most people go on a diet to lose weight and have a ripped stomach or whatever, I just like to even it out, right?
You're just trying to maintain.
I want to live life like where I can eat what I want and then I go work it off. So I'm not like you don't want to see my stomach right. It's not what it was 20 years ago.
You don't have a six-pack?
It's not bad, but it's not anything to brag about.
You have a dad body, and you're not a dad, Jay.
I hope not. But I do go to the gym every single day.
I do, for sure. You go to the gym.
I do curls. I still do curls.
You do your curls of ice cream.
40 minutes of Stairmaster, 30 minutes of the treadmill.
Good.
So like I'm in there. I'm in good shape.
So you have a workout routine. Do you have a morning routine? You meditate or stretch or do anything? Nothing to prep?
I would lose my mind. I don't drink coffee because I would explode.
That's funny.
Yeah,
so
I'm
no coffee.
I'm wired.
You're naturally wired.
I don't sleep full hours.
You're not a big sleeper, so you just
I go to bed at 12. I wake up at 6:30, but I kind of wake up throughout the night.
And you watch police chases. That's another big thing. I'm learning all this Instagram stuff. Yeah. You get those things. By the way,
at this point, everyone that follows me that likes chases, if a chase is on, I get like 10 people when chases on 7, chases on 9, chases on 4.
You are the expert on chases.
I do like car chases for some reason, but a lot of people do. There's a reason why they cut off programming, so we can all watch it.
Yeah, we're all watching it.
No one wants to
admit it. It's just like reality shows.
We're watching it.
Yeah, that's why everyone's watching the Kardashians.
See the other one in the valley, the guy from Seaside.
He's breakdancing?
Yeah.
Amazing. The guy got pulled over and got out and just started breakdancing.
That's incredible. I missed that one, but I don't watch any of them. You saw that. Yeah. So you're a sicko too with these
I have
chases.
it saved here if you'd like to see it.
Yeah, I'll see it after. That's unbelievable.
The chase was okay, but then he got out and started breakdancing.
Did you guys see that one? Oh, you're just everyone's seeing the breakdancer but me. Well,
there was one about 3 weeks ago where this truck was following the actual guy on the chase, and everyone thought it was an undercover cop. At least the people that were the guy speaking, Stu Mendel from CBS or whatever it is. They were saying that he must have been an FBI or a cop. Next thing you know, he was just trying to cause some trouble, and then they went after him after they arrested the first person. It was it was one of the better ones I've seen in a long time.
All
right. He was interfering.
This is just direct. We're not talking about that. I'm sorry I brought that up.
Well, I could
Let's
go
get
on
back to more serious stuff.
Sure.
So talk to me about the landscape, the retail landscape now with the Amazon effect and how that's impacted the retail world, which it seems like it's gone in cycles, and obviously everything goes in cycles.
Well,
like even streets and like Robertson was hot and then it's not. Now it's Melrose Place. And now
I get asked this a little bit, and I also have an opinion when you say the word cycle. Yeah, things go on cycles, but I also think that the book business got wiped out by the internet in many ways. The film, TV, a lot of these businesses have changed. Music totally got changed. Retail brick and mortar is changing, and it's not a cycle. It's a fundamental change.
Yeah.
And all I can do on my end is play my part and try to keep doing deals, but it's changing. No matter what anyone says, yes, Amazon.
For sure.
I'm not going to talk negatively. If I could be friendly with Jeff Bezos or be Jeff Bezos and be that successful, I look up to the guy.
Yeah,
but,
God bless him.
But it's definitely impacting brick and mortar retail. And a lot of properties were bought, let's just say in 2012, where there's no way they're ever making their money back because they bought it at the height.
They brought it on the pro forma.
Things are changing, and everyone after the first recession of 2008 that we've all probably seen in the last many years started. There was a point where there was money again. Everyone was buying everything, paying up. Many companies were probably getting paid fees on the buy.
Wow,
they were buying, and now forget it. So there's a huge gap between what a tenant can pay, what a landlord needs or wants. And some are better than others, but for the most part, I don't know if reality is hitting yet. I don't think we're dead. I think that once there's like a plateau, is that the right word? Like a straight line of here we are. There will be brands evolving and other things happening. I mean, somewhere right now while we're sitting here, some designer is creating something, and they're going to be a name that we've all heard of in a year.
Right, but sure.
We haven't heard of them right now.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen. So it's not dead.
Yeah.
But where does that new person go? Can they sign a lease on this street and give a financial statement?
Can they afford?
So that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, and that's interesting. That's always the disconnect. And I always think about that with the high street, the stuff that you focus on. Are these businesses doing it for advertising and branding? Or are they doing it to run a business to be profitable? I hear both things, but you would know more than anybody.
It is a combination of both.
It is a combination of both. It's certainly branding. We know that. You've got a storefront on Melrose Place or Rodeo, whatever, any popular street.
It's a combination of both. I haven't heard any tenants that say I'd like to lose money and be on the street.
Not.
They all,
of course,
even on Rodeo Drive, where everyone says, "Oh, they don't care." They care. I've done 50 leases, if not 60, on Rodeo Drive. Every single one of them cares. They're looking for a certain size. They're looking for a certain budget. They're projecting, but they're getting their name on Rodeo Drive. That's why they're paying the big bucks and hopefully making the
branding
big bucks.
Effect. What is Rodeo Drive price per square foot now, or is that the peak, the high rent, or where's the highest rent if you were to say today?
It's kind of all over the place. Funny enough. Comps really relate also to situations. Like a landlord, you could have two buildings next to the door to the other, just like in your business, you have two houses next to the other. If they're exactly the same and exactly the same size and everything about them's the same, but two different people fill them. Just like in a house, someone's going to be a slob and someone's going to be clean.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
In the retail business, someone's going to be successful, someone's going to be lame. It can be of many reasons. The landlord, same thing. They can be lame. They can be amazing.
Yeah.
They can be clueless. They can be, whatever the word, a great landlord. So that's part of it, because I could tell you about deals even today where we're doing deals that are far apart, different
at the same time,
price per foot. But in general, Rodeo Drive is per annum. We speak per annum on Rodeo.
Yeah.
I mean, LA is the only place where people say monthly price. They quote monthly, but
everywhere else
$500, $600, $700 a foot. Some deals are $800, $900 a foot per annum. If you look at Beverly Drive, it would be $240 a foot. Now it's probably down to $180 a foot and $144. So
much less.
Much less. I mean, every other street just drops dramatically.
Rodeo is
Robertson Boulevard went from $240 a foot to $72 a foot.
Wow.
Or $6 per month. Now it's crawling back up to $10 per month or $120 per annum.
How about like a Melrose Place?
Melrose Place is about $180 per foot per annum, which is $15 per month. Yeah. And some are higher and some are lower, but
Rodeo Drive is still the pinnacle in terms of high rent district.
Rodeo Drive is third to Fifth Avenue and Madison.
Well, that's interesting. So, what is the comparative? What is if you're going to New York? These brands, what are they paying versus they're paying
Fifth
that
Avenue
on Rodeo? What are you paying?
A street you go to for branding.
Yeah,
it definitely is a
huge jump.
I mean,
up
they're
from
all
Rodeo?
branding streets, but I'm just saying that's probably $3,000 a foot.
Wow, so dramatically
different. Madison Avenue is $700 to $1,500 a foot, depending.
Yeah, but these brands, these high level fashion brands, they have to be in this. That's part of their business. You have to have.
They really do. The brands that are making it online that are really popular, I would call them like contemporary fashion, or ones where there's an influencer behind them in some way that they don't really need to be in a store, but most do. Most in an outlet, a real brick and mortar outlet.
Cool. Tell us, what are some up and coming brands that maybe people haven't heard about or are just starting to hear about that people, that you like, whether it's any type of retail, fashion, could be food, anything that you think there's some good ones coming up.
That's what I do. This is what I do every day of my life, is try to find those.
Figure
I'm trying
that
to think
person
who's
out.
now up and coming, but
or you might think they're not up and coming,
right.
but most of us will think it's up and coming because we've never heard of them.
On Melrose, what deals have we done? We did Acme Studios, we did Bathing Ape. I think Kith is one of the best brands in the world. I don't know if you know Kith. They're multi-brand, but they also have their own line, and they're underneath Fred Siegel.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, now I know.
And they're underneath Fred Siegel at 8500 Sunset, and they know how to touch sneaker culture, but sneaker culture can mean a lot of things. It's not just a kid wearing sneakers. I mean, there's big kids like me that's 47 years old that thinks I'm 25 that's wearing, like, I'm wearing my Cortezes right now.
Well, come on. I wore these for you, though, Jay.
Those are pretty crazy. Those are Golden Goose.
Yeah. Isn't that
I do love Golden Goose.
That guy wore it for you.
Nike and whatnot.
Are you a collector, a shoe collector too?
Mm-hmm, definitely.
I mean, there's some serious shoe collectors in terms of investors, people that don't wear the shoes and trade them. Man, that's nuts.
Off-whites and all sorts of stuff. Old Air Jordans. I love all that. It's collectible.
And they're selling for thousands of dollars a pair. And I mean, that's
it's a fashion statement.
You're into that too. Huh?
I mean, one thing I would say,
literally would buy the shoe just to.
Ray, you're probably a sneaker dude, right?
Not really, but I know a couple of people who are into the culture.
Yeah, and it's not all like. By the way, my nephew is 11. My niece is 8.
Yeah.
They know. My nephew is like texting me shoes.
Right there's your inside man.
But I mean, it is like he thinks these are cool. They're cool. And
true tastemakers.
Right. And then we're texting shoes back and forth to each other, and I'm that many years older than him, and we're like broing out on sneakers.
So are you passionate about finding new brands and new businesses and bringing them to the world? Is that something like you're like, it's in your belly, you want to go discover that?
Mm-hmm. Many
bring
of the deals, I've done a lot of people's first and second deals, in town, and that's a big part of what I do. I'm always looking.
That must be insane to
see.
It is great.
It's great to watch them grow and explode. 100 stores or second store or whatever. But there have been a lot of brands that I've been a part of in the early stages. Yes.
I bet. So tell me, your days must be so hectic. I won't even ask what's a typical day, because I know as a broker, every day's different. But how do you manage your time? How do you manage your calendar, going appointment to appointment, phones, emails are ringing? There's a lot of people to see. Is it, how do you delegate? Obviously, what you are doing today was very different than what you were doing 10 or 15 years ago. But what does it look like now with the huge book of business and people coming at you from all angles? How do you stay on top of everything?
I'd like to say it's organized chaos a little bit.
I get that.
I do have a great, amazing team. There was a time in those years I was telling you, 2003, 4, 5, I didn't even have an assistant. I get home.
I remember those days, and I remember having lunch with you, and it's just like, and I was like, okay, you're your own assistant.
And I still am like that at lunch. But now I have a team of 7 or 8 people. I have a residential partner, Steven Schaefer.
Yes, that's right. You guys are doing residential.
Some great things in residential, and I've got an amazing team. At my office,
so what's the setup of the team? How is it? Is it other junior brokers? Is it administrators?
We have some administrators, and then we've got other broker partners. And they're Gavin, Jenny, Ashley, Eni is our. She really runs everything
Operations.
For us. Yeah,
she's your
Farine
Sarah.
is new.
You're Robin.
We have a marketing person, Kiana. We just hired to be a junior broker. I have one in New York, Kelly, who is I got my New York license, and
you do a lot of business in New York.
I some, but I would like it to be a lot.
So what do you do with your brands that go to New York? It's referred out, or they have their
I have Kelly there, And
now you have
I've gone to New York with certain brands, and we'll look for them there. And we've done deals in New York as a tenant rep. Now we have some landlord listings on Bleecker Street, Uptown, and we'd like to organically grow New York but without touching or hurting LA. So that's why slowly I've hired someone there. She's full-time New York, so she's out on the streets.
She's there all day, every day.
And it's also great to communicate with her what she's seeing, because New York typically gets everything first.
For sure.
And if anything new pops up, I want to know about it. I'm not always going to be able to see it firsthand. When I go to New York, I like to try.
Yeah.
So it's good to have that. I think there's more of a connection between New York and LA than a lot of people realize. It's a long flight, but there's a lot of similarity.
Yeah, there's so much.
And LA's
so
become
much
a must place in retail, by the way. It always was kind of like New York's number one and everywhere else people will find. LA is number two, but it's also almost tied for number one.
Right.
Because we have entertainment meeting celebrity and entertainment together meeting fashion.
Yeah.
And
there's no better
the
place to
influencer
be.
generation and Instagram. It's not a joke. I mean, 120 million followers and someone's out posting something. I mean, you have to be kind of in LA to get that kind of reach, in my opinion.
For sure.
And the brands know that. So they're tapping in, and it's important to them that these influencers are out there promoting their brands.
Yeah.
And LA to me is the mecca of that. So it feels like whether it's social media related, high sales in some of our streets, the weather, the fact that we have a more sophisticated art scene. We have everything from the sneaker culture we were talking about in hipster streets, from downtown to Abbot-Kinney in Venice to Silver Lake and Echo Park and all these places.
Right.
To even West Hollywood has a mixture of everything.
Yeah.
To the higher end, Bel Airs and Beverly Hills of the world.
Yeah.
We've got, in Brentwood, an amazing place to throw in there too. But there's such a mix in LA of everything. And it's
for sure.
It's really diverse and important in fashion. And in business.
Yeah.
It's
in
no
culture
when I moved
overall.
here in 1995 and I told friends I was going to LA, everyone literally would laugh it off or say something,
They didn't take it seriously.
It was like La La Land, haha, or whatever. Right. It was just like,
LA's definitely having its moment where New York used to be the center of the universe. It really feels like LA is, and it's going to continue to be for all the reasons you're talking about. I sense it in the residential market. When you look at the wealth in the world, and most wealthy people want to have a home here. Yeah, that wasn't always the case 20 years ago, maybe not even 10 years ago.
We have CEOs here. We've got heads of fashion brands. We've got
heads
people
of
retiring.
everybody.
Yeah, you got everything.
People want to be here for all the reasons, for business reasons, culture reasons, restaurants, art. It's all here, and of course, the weather doesn't suck. So, so you're able to keep it all together. Do your agents that are working on your team, are they out there trying to get new business, or is it just they need to support you because you're out there rainmaking?
It's a combination of everything. We have an email chain together. I'm sending emails all day long, and they're also incredibly independent, and I trust all of them, and we get things just done. So as deals are coming in, we're discussing them. We have a great organized list of our deals and who's looking, and I'm disheveled like a crazy man, but at the end of every day, I like to try to
catch up on
put it
what's
together,
going on.
and it's more organized than you would think, but it's also crazy.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I get the sense too.
There's no real. I wouldn't be teaching a class on it. I'm just throwing a lot against the wall and living life.
Living well and eating a lot of ice cream. So what advice would you give to up-and-coming brokers, people that are either in the business or people that want to get in the business? I know it's a pretty big question.
What I was saying earlier, it's okay to be an assistant. And in fact, it's almost the secret sauce. Go be an assistant, but don't spend 10 years if it's not the right thing. But go be an assistant. And if that first year to year and a half to two is you're learning a lot,
that's
you either continue being the assistant or you start doing deals. I mean, there's a point where we all feel like I've been doing this too long. Where's my growth? And that's where you have to. That's another conversation. But you're getting in the business. I think working for, and it's luck. You work for the right team. You can't choose what team you're going to go work for.
But you have good
if you
mentors
have a good group to be a part of, you're being, and they trust you. You're now thrown into deals, and that's how you learn.
Yeah, and if it's not a good group that you should probably switch out of that and go find a good group.
I feel for a lot of people that can't just switch. I mean, there are people that just, man, you miss a week or two in your paycheck, and you're in trouble. It's scary and sad to think that there's not the perfect job for everybody, but the best advice would be to try to get lucky, to try to find the right team and do some research and go after it. And if you get fortunate enough and you're on a great team, couple years in, you're going to be a different person. You're going to have knowledge, and knowledge is power.
Right. And that's where you start making money. You have to have some knowledge and know what you're talking about. So you have any downtime, any trips coming up, any travel? What does Jay Luchs do when he's not doing deals?
Sure. My brother-in-law, sister, niece, and nephew will be in Florida next week for their spring break.
Spring break.
Yes. And my parents are there, so I'm going to go visit everybody next week for 3 days. Not a big trip.
You're not veering off.
Red Eye Monday night.
You're not veering off to do Fort Lauderdale spring break with FSU and
unfortunately not
Notre Dame,
Palm Beach, Florida.
Palm Beach.
I won't be doing that.
That's cool. Spending some time with your family. But it is nice to be with
them, and I'll be going for. It's really just 3 days, and I'm not good at travel. I'm taking a red eye. I hate missing a day of work, an email thing. I still have a BlackBerry and an iPhone.
Oh wow! So, take a picture of that. He's got a BlackBerry.
Oh, that's right.
Like, Sarah's got the iPhone.
Got scared for a minute.
Yeah. What is up with your BlackBerry?
Yeah. That's okay.
Don't get involved.
No,
he's going to have a nervous breakdown. Don't show him the phone.
If I look at this thing right now.
So why do you have the berry? For security?
I could tell you. I'll try to make it 30 seconds so I don't take all your airtime. But
and wrap it.
Wrap the whole thing? We're done?
Why? We're having fun.
No, wrap it.
So I thought she was like, wrap it, we're done.
Yeah, I thought she was too.
So, number one, I've had it in my hand for 10 years, and I'm so freaking used to it that I can do it in my sleep.
You can't
detach it. Do this. I don't want to say I do it while I'm driving, but I can. I can have my leg here, phone here, this thing here. But
that's sick, Jay.
I'm going to say the two other reasons. I do a lot of copying and pasting. So on the iPhone, I can't even figure it out yet. And I do a lot of searching for stuff. So if it could be for your name. If I looked up your name on an iPhone, it's going to show me a lot of things from a lot of, I can't figure it out.
It's going to show you a rapper from Detroit.
It's
if
in order.
You look up Danny Brown, you get the rapper.
I'm just saying it's in order of when I looked up United Airlines the other day to see when I had a flight. And it was like United Miles, United this, United. I couldn't even find it. It was 18 Uniteds. And then I have a different BlackBerry for my personal emails. This is my work one, and it was right on top.
There you go.
So I have two BlackBerries, but don't tell anybody.
We'll keep that between us. So are you a sports fan? Are you a Dodger fan
I'm
at all?
I'm a Redskins football fan.
Redskins,
I'm a Dodgers
of course.
fan.
But you are a Dodgers fan.
I'm a Lakers fan, Dodgers fan, and I do like the Rams. I have tickets, but
so you've
the
become
Redskins are my life.
somewhat of an LA fan, but Redskins is your
Redskins.
That's your diehard.
Absolutely my diehard. Oof. When I see the Redskins
brutal,
symbol, it's childhood. It's everything. It's like seeing a Coca-Cola. It's something that looks so familiar. The Redskins to me is
Joe Theismann Redskins. Yeah.
Exactly.
Riggins. Those are the good old days.
Number 44. My lacrosse number 44
based
was
on
from John Riggins.
He was a bad man.
He was. The Diesel, they called him.
So how is it? It's tragic. They've been just
how bad
brutal.
They've been?
Yeah. It's not fun being a Redskins fan.
You can't win them all. But we'll come back. I think this year we might.
Are they making the playoffs this year?
We might get into the playoffs. Yeah, I think
they might make the playoffs. Well, man, awesome. I'm so glad we got to spend some quality time.
Me too.
Real estate legend. I have to get you in my office to sit down, and usually we're in between. I gotta go. I got showings, but I'm sure I'll see you.
We could very easily be doing stuff together, so we should.
We should be doing deals. We should, especially now you're in residential.
Yeah,
you should be doing stuff.
It's a great business. Having a lot of contacts does mean a lot in that business.
For sure, it's all relationships.
Last year was a great year for us selling houses, and this year hopefully we'll do the same.
Let's do some. Let's sell some houses together. There's no reason that we're not. I gotta get your partner here and let's do some stuff.
We should do that for sure.
Right, man. Well, thank you for spending time with us.
Absolutely.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Appreciate it.
Jay Luchs.
All right.
Hey, I just want to thank Jay for coming in and hanging out. We see each other all the time in the streets and at lunches and dinners and in social atmospheres. It's nice to spend some time hanging out, talking shop, getting deep into it. I appreciate you guys following the podcast. You can also follow and find Jay on Instagram at Jay Luchs. You can also just look at any sign in Beverly Hills and find his name and call him. You can always find me at Danny Brown LA. I'm always available and answering when people direct message me. We appreciate you subscribing, making comments. We have many more guests coming up. Joey Miller, the developer of the platform, Josh LaBelle, hedge fund guy, and so many other interesting guests. So stay tuned for more from us. And thank you for listening to The Deal with Danny Brown. Take care, guys.